One, two. The stream is live. Woo!
We got through this technical difficulties, Amber, and we are live with everybody. And what a day to be. I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the technology that allows us to do these things.
Right?
But, what a joy to be live with everybody this Thanksgiving.
Yes. It is crazy. It's been a crazy kind of a month. I can't believe it's going to be December the 1st, let alone Thanksgiving. I already see Christmas decorations up and it's 70 degrees outside. So that just doesn't seem right.
It is nice and warm outside here too. It's normally a lot cooler than it is, but it's been really warm it's 40 in the morning when I go to the gym, but 70 by the middle of the afternoon.
So it is the fall of summer. And we are so excited to be coming to you on this holiday week. We have so much going on. And Rebecca, in the middle of this, we got 2 days of holiday. What do you traditionally do with your Thanksgiving holiday?
So I do a meal. My daughters both live nearby, so we will have both daughters and our grandchildren at the house for our Thanksgiving meal. My mother-in-law, who also lives nearby, is not feeling well, and so she's still working with some digestive issues, and so she will not be joining us for Thanksgiving.
I know those holidays because I remember a couple of years. Well, actually, it was a couple of years ago. My husband had COVID and flu on Thanksgiving, and I think the year before we all had COVID on Christmas. So it makes that dynamic a little bit hard. But this is so. Fortunately, everybody's healthy this year. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But we would love for you. Hey, Cherie. This is, and we want everybody to say hi because we have some gifts today for our people. And there's your mom, Karen. Hi, Karen. She will be at her oldest son's home. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, at my brother's house.
At your brother's house. So she gets to now. Karen, do you go to your son's house to cook, or I'd be interested in knowing that.
I'm sure she's bringing the pies, even if she doesn't bring any other things, because
she's a baker.
Even when she came to my house for Thanksgiving, I had her make the pies for Thanksgiving because from the time I was a child, my mother always made the pies for Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
It didn't matter where we had Thanksgiving. Mom would bring the pies, and we always had an apple pie. Mm-hmm. And I've got a story about our apple pies.
Oh my goodness.
We always had a pumpkin pie, and then we always had a lemon meringue pie. Yep. She's saying they're going to cook, but she's going to bring the pies.
The pies and probably pumpkin bread. Oh gosh, pumpkin bread, Karen. So that is my thing. That is my thing. But my pies come from Walmart.
Oh. No, Mom makes them from scratch, including the crust from scratch. There's not even a store-bought crust.
Oh my goodness. She says my mother always made the pies for our family gatherings. That is so cool to be able to. Did you know I've never made a pie in my life? I've never ever made a pie, and I'm in my fifth decade of life, and I've never made a pie. Hello,
so we are seeing there are lots of you online, and we are just so welcome. Say hi, share your name, and we are taking those names to do a drawing a little later in the show. But so Amber, I have to tell you, the year that my birthday is right around Thanksgiving. So the year that my birthday was the day before Thanksgiving, I was turning 13. It was one of the years. And I turned 13 the day before Thanksgiving. And my mom had to go to a doctor's appointment that afternoon, and she had put the pumpkin pie in the oven. And now I was the oldest of 5 children, and I was the oldest of 4 children at the time, and we would fight with each other sometimes, but I was babysitting them so Mom could go to this doctor's appointment that afternoon because it was the day before Thanksgiving, so we had half a day of school. And the pumpkin pie was in the oven.
Oh my goodness.
And normally we fought and argued, but we started getting along, and we got along, and we were playing together cards so well, we totally forgot about the pumpkin pie. So that pumpkin pie got burned.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to, so we had to, so mom wasn't very happy that we accidentally burned the pumpkin pie, and we all had to help with making the apples, but she was really glad that we were getting along and having so much fun together. So, you know, it was one of those things where, yeah, she wasn't really, she was upset about the pumpkin pie or the apple pie, because the apple pie has so much work to it with all the apples that you have to cut and peel and core and everything.
Well, the challenge is with me, I do not do well. And to tell you about the level of not doing well with my baking, yesterday I burnt Toll House cookies. So that is the level of my baking ability. Everyone, my daughters always said, what, you know, people ask them, well, what kind of food does your mom cook? And they usually said burnt food. And so I admire anyone who can actually make crust and cook, you know, and it have, you know, not burned. So it's exciting. I remember though, you know, this is my first Thanksgiving with my oldest daughter, who has moved back to England with her her fiance, who is also British American, and to be by his parents. His mom is American and his dad is from Cornwall, and they are going to have their own Thanksgiving. And the biggest question I was asked when I was over here is, do they celebrate Thanksgiving in England? And I had to say no. And I'm excited because today we're going to have Cynthia Simmons on the line today, who's going to set us straight for some of the origins of Thanksgiving, which is not celebrated in England. And so that's cool. But the first year I was over living in London, I actually forgot what day Thanksgiving was. And I thought it was on November the 25th.
Well, it is sometimes.
It is sometimes on November the 25th. So I didn't know it actually was a Thursday and it was planned that way. I'd like to know the origins of why it was planned on a Thursday, because for all the people who don't want to go to work on Friday.
I don't know, but that is traditionally for me, it's the beginning of my baking time. So I bake and bake for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And even with my mother, we baked for Christmas. We start baking our Christmas cookies really at Thanksgiving weekend. And so Thanksgiving weekend, Friday, we would go out shopping, but Saturday we would be baking. I start baking that weekend to bake my Christmas cookies. Traditionally, I will make between 10 and 15 different kinds of Christmas cookies.
Oh my
and we give them as gifts. We do little bundles of them and give them as gifts. When we had a smaller church, when my husband was a pastor of a smaller church, we would give out packages of the cookies to every member of the congregation. So I'd be making like 80 bags of cookies.
80 bags of cookies? How many of those 80 bags of cookies did you actually eat yourself?
Well, none of those bags, because that's the ones I was giving away. But we also would have platters that we would have for our occasions, for decorating a Christmas tree and other things. But yeah, Thanksgiving was always traditionally when we started all of our Christmas baking.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Now, do you watch the Thanksgiving Day parade? Is that something that you do in your house?
It wasn't something we did together. I sometimes have it on, and we've sometimes had it on in the background, but it's not something that's ever been that big of a deal to me. But I want to say that I know somebody that's going to New York this weekend to see the Thanksgiving Day parade. I just forget who it is that was going to be doing that.
Yeah,
you know what? Maybe it's I think it's my pastor and his wife that are going up there. They have a family member that's recuperating in New York. And so they're going to go up and see the Thanksgiving Day parade along with helping her with recuperation.
Oh, that's awesome that they get to see that. One of my favorite memories of childhood will always be that Tom Turkey comes and isn't it the beginning of the parade? He comes, and then Santa Claus comes at the end.
Santa Claus is at the end. Yes.
But those are just like the classic, the classic memories and the traditions that I love about Thanksgiving, because they remind me of being a kid. And they remind me of, there's something about that warm, cozy nostalgia of remembering these traditions that you've been passed down from family to family. Even dishes. I know a lot of people have special, I guess, non-traditional Thanksgiving dishes. Do you guys have any non-traditional Thanksgiving dishes that you do?
Ours are pretty much traditional. I mean, we do mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes and well, I don't know. I'm doing a cranberry orange pork loin, and we're smoking turkey breasts, and we have ham. So the cranberry orange pork loin wouldn't be a normal Thanksgiving. And one year we did chicken quarters. Because that was what my grandchildren all like to eat. And it was like, why should we cook a turkey if they're all going to want to eat the chicken anyway? And sometimes my husband will spatchcock a chicken, lay it out flat on the grill. You cut the backbone out and lay it out flat. So yeah, we will do some kind of, I always want some smoked turkey, but we will also do some other things.
So some smoked turkey. I know my brother is, my younger brother is so good with the smoker, and I love it when he cooks. This since we're having a smaller Thanksgiving this year, with everybody being away, we've actually, since my daughter can't come and cook, we're doing a boneless turkey breast, because I don't have to do any. It's pre-cooked, so it's not going to come out raw, and it's not going to be one of those those Christmas Vacation where the turkey kind of bursts open and it's so dry.
So we have got, I'm going to say, Amber, we have Dawn Damon, we have Susan Davis, we have Cherie, we have Karen, we have a whole bunch of people here. And so what I would like to say to all of you is tell us, and Karen did say they do a traditional meal. Her ancestors came from New England in the 1630s. So they do a traditional Thanksgiving meal. But tell us whether you do a traditional or non-traditional. Linda Shepard is saying hi.
Hey, Linda.
Adrian Chavez has said hi. So, it's great to see all of you. We're so excited to see you. But what I want to do today is I want to say, our traditions are great, but where did this holiday come from?
Right.
Wouldn't you like to know that? And we have got a wonderful historian who is a fabulous historical author, Cynthia Simmons, who is going to be joining us just now to talk to us about the origins of Thanksgiving in the United States.
Yes. I love
Cherie's getting smoked turkey too. I'm telling you, smoked turkey is amazing.
Yes, smoked turkey is amazing. Cynthia, you're on mute, but we'd love to hear your voice. Look at you, and you're beautiful. You always have beautiful flowers adorning your head. That is so beautiful. It's exciting to have you on here. It's so funny. Cynthia, you have such a unique ministry of history. I think I would say the ministry of history. And firstly, I'd love for you to talk about, this fascination with history and how you got so connected in to really digging deep into the spiritual roots of some of these traditions like Thanksgiving.
Well, my dad loved history, and I think he's at fault for making me fall in love with it, because he was always taking us to the Civil War battlefields and talking about all of the soldiers and even the guns. I mean, you wouldn't think a girl would care about guns, right? But he showed us how they worked and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, he could have really led a tour of a Civil War battlefield. And of course, we climbed on the cannons. And these days, they don't let you do that because they're going to fall off. But we never fell off. We thought everybody climbed on the cannons. So it's probably his fault that I did. And I find myself so drawn to it that I realized that the Lord was, wanted to use this. So I thought, well, why not go ahead and combine it with scripture, and let's go ahead and learn something from people of the past and pull lessons out of it. Why not? Because maybe I have a unique position in that way that he gave me that love for it. Because I used to think, I really would rather have lived in the Victorian era with all those gorgeous skirts and everything.
Yeah.
I just dress up now, so I get my feel of it, and then I'm ready to take them off because you can't move.
Yes, I don't think I could deal with the corsetry. All these ladies fainting. There was so many people. I look at how what those ladies had to endure, and I think they must have been really tough. I mean, really, really tough.
Not so bad. I had someone, I was up at Williamsburg about a year ago, and a lady I know is a seamstress, and as a favor to me, she made me a corset and a dress to match. And when she put the corset on me, I found it extremely comfortable.
Oh, really?
The purpose of the corset was to keep you from slumping and to make you sit up straight. And if it's done right, it should not be uncomfortable. And even men wore them at that time because they were the outer garment that a man wore, because they valued so much the posture. And of course, good posture is good for you. But if it's done right and done to your measurements, it's not as difficult as it may seem. Now, in the Victorian era, they may have tried to make that hourglass figure, but if you have stuff on the top and stuff on the bottom, you're going to have it anyway, regardless of how big you are. And they did do that. They did pad in order to get the figure.
Oh, that's so fascinating to me, because you do see a lot of people who they're passing out or something is so knowing that that wasn't as quite as comfortable, that was as comfortable as it didn't look as comfortable, but it was. So that is so cool to know that. And
it's very comfortable when it's done right. Now, there may have been some girls that overdid it. That's always possible, because you use your diaphragm to breathe, and that pushes down into your abdomen. And so if you got stressed, I could see how that would happen.
So they probably learned to breathe better, and they probably had a lot better backs. They didn't have as much hunching over.
The hunching is not something that they liked, and so it did help that.
And that's awesome. That is so awesome. Now, tell you, this love of history has brought you into like schools and to teaching, like in that. How have you seen that open door just to the mainstream for your ministry? You just felt like this is something that is really meaningful to reach out and branch out in with Jesus.
I had a friend. I went to her to because she's really good at publicity, and when we talked enough, she said, "You know what? You're a storyteller. I mean, God made you a storyteller. So let's just connect that to scripture." And I went, "Oh, I can do that." So whenever there's a chance, I dress up and, try to always give whatever I talk about a little bit of flavor of faith, because that's what I'm all about.
Right.
But give people kind of a picture of what it was like to live in the past.
Yeah. And you actually take on some of these, the people of the past. Yeah. So what is it like to research those people and actually portray them as you're teaching?
That's a lot of fun. And I try, like if it's a Southern person, I try to develop a Southern accent for that. I've done several Southern ladies during the Civil War. And if I'm going to do someone from the Revolutionary War, I go ahead and work on a British accent, because I figured there was going to be a little bit of that anyway, even though they would have probably developed their own dialect to some degree, but it gives a flavor of that because they consider themselves British. I mean,
it is true. I was telling Rebecca, because being that I'm married to a Brit, how now my daughter's over there living, and she being that she is over there now, I remember losing touch with Thanksgiving, that my very first time in Britain, and I actually forgot when Thanksgiving was. I thought it was on November the 25th. So I think you can probably maybe give us some insight into not only the origins, but you have a lovely lady to introduce us to.
Yes, I do.
Sure.
The first Thanksgiving, of course, was the Pilgrims, because they were thankful that the Lord provided for them, because without food they would have starved. Well, Washington was the one that recommended it. In fact, he had a couple proclamations, and every time he did, they would have a Thanksgiving event.
Mhm.
Now, it did not become a national holiday, especially in the South. It was kind of a Northern tradition, although it was not considered to be a holiday of any kind. But the Northerners did kind of develop a tradition around Thanksgiving. Now, the person that actually made it happen was Sarah Josepha Hale. She was
Oh.
someone who was born in 1788 in New Hampshire, and her father was a Civil War veteran. He was a captain in the Civil War. And she married a man named David Hale and, raised 5 kids, kind of like me.
Mm-hmm.
But when her husband died, she had to figure out something to do to be able to make a living. So she became a writer.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, she was and she wrote Mary Has a Little Lamb.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Wow.
So she published a book of poems, and she did a lot of writing, and she became a teacher, and she was very much, wanting to educate women as much as men. And so finally someone asked her to edit a magazine, which she did, Ladies Magazine, and eventually Godey's Magazine.
It sounds like a woman I like.
Wanting to educate women to be better mothers and be able to teach their kids and so on. But, she really felt like that Thanksgiving was an important holiday, and she wanted it to be a national holiday. And so every year she was petitioning all the governors and all the, the presidents and all that. Finally, Lincoln heard her, and, he had been praying for a victory. He'd been praying for a victory. So when they had the victory at Gettysburg, he decided that he was going to listen to her and go ahead and establish a national holiday on the third week of November, third Thursday of November. I think someone later moved it because of making the holiday season longer. As one of the presidents, but he's the one that established it on a Thursday. And you were talking about Thursday. I don't know why he picked a Thursday, but he picked it. And then it became a national holiday. But she was the one. Her name was Sarah Josepha Hale. She was an incredible woman, and for years, she for 40 years, she worked as a magazine editor. Was one of the first in the country to be a magazine editor.
Oh, that is amazing. That is so cool, because you don't realize how intricate, and how involved these ladies were. Because when you think of that time in history, you don't necessarily think of these really.
No, you don't. You don't
think of these
women doing that.
Very big entrepreneurs, or you think of them being at home with their big families, but at the same time, they had a lot. They were doing a lot, and they were involved in a lot of different things. I love that idea that they were they did a magazine. That's so cool. And do you have any? Has the Thanksgiving turkey does that have that significance? I don't know if did they eat that at the first Thanksgiving?
They may have at the first Thanksgiving because that was something that was available. And of course, with our technology, we have made turkeys have a very big chest so that we have a lot of white meat.
Right.
But I think that's probably why that's one of the meats that we eat. But there's a lot of things that are traditional these days, like the cranberry sauce. Now that's a northern dish. That would not have been something the South would have had access to. But over time, because of communication, it did come into the South. But
yeah. My husband can't understand, of course, as a Brit, why we have sweet potatoes and the brown sugar and the nuts and all that on it, because he's like, that should be a dessert dish. Is there significance about sweet potatoes that we don't know about? Or
I always thought of sweet potatoes as being a Southern dish because they did grow them in the South, and the sugar cane and all that was grown in the South, and brown sugar is just a little bit less refined. So I don't know why it's traditional, except that probably the harvest would be in the fall.
Yes, and there's so many things that I found. One of the things that they didn't have in Britain was pumpkin pie. I mean, not. I mean, you didn't have. I didn't. Not that they have Thanksgiving, but they didn't have pumpkin. Traditional pumpkin in the can. So,
Yeah.
that I was trying to make a Thanksgiving meal and failing miserably. But it's interesting the food that we had here in the States as compared to what might have been, because they had corn
Mhm.
here. And that was something that was unique, right? The
Yeah,
corn,
corn was an American thing. It
yeah,
was. We probably spread it around the world, but yeah, it was an American thing.
cornbread, real corn. Those are some of the things that were unique to us. We have a lot of people who are responding. Sherry says, "I love sweet potato casserole." Wow. The sweet potato pie, maybe I can do a little bit more of sweet potato casserole.
And some people put marshmallows in it and all that stuff, brown sugar. And I'm sure that came later. I don't think they did that originally, because that would be
somebody who had a lot of marshmallows or really had a sweet tooth did that.
Well, I have a sweet tooth. I love sugar, so I have to really work at getting protein, because I'd rather just eat sugar. But
yeah, do you have anything that we may not know about Thanksgiving that is kind of embedded in its history?
well, one thing I learned as I began to poke at history and so on is that the cakes that they ate back in the past, like Christmas and that kind of thing, were more of a spice cake, more like white cakes were not a thing. And we would call them fruit cakes, but yet not the fruit cake in the way that you think. It was just, it had fruit in it, but it was more of a spice cake. So they would not have had the light desserts that we have with the icing and stuff that came later.
Yeah. So maybe not pumpkin pie. Do you think it was?
They may have had pumpkin pie. Pumpkin is it's in the same family as the squash. So it tastes very similar to the butternut squash.
Yeah, I think people are just thinking we're having a conversation about a bunch of food. They're like, what's happening? We're making everybody hungry today, Cynthia.
We're going to need those girdles after Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness. Well, do you guys have some traditional things that you do at Thanksgiving that is for your family?
My mother created a recipe for oatmeal rocks that, they're not all that difficult to make, but they are so good and they're crunchy. And every time I make them, people absolutely love them. I took them to the police station last year and gave them to the police station, and they were fond of them. And then she made a prune cake, which that sounds awful, but it really is a spice cake, which is very similar to what they did, like Washington did. It's very similar to that.
Oh, wow. Did you say a fruit cake? A fruit cake.
It's similar to a fruit cake, but it has more spice like cloves and that sort of thing.
Oh, I love anything. I love gingerbread loaf. I'm a spice girl at heart. So any of that carrot, pumpkin bread, any of that, I love it. I love so much. And you would think that they would probably use a lot of spices, and that was one of the things that they liked to do.
But they would put dried fruit in it. And during the Civil War, they used molasses because they didn't have much sugar in the South, and they put dried apples in it.
Well, that is so cool. Now we have a lot of people who are saying hi, and we are having, of course, Cherie, Rosie, and Cindy Sob, Susan, thanks for coming on, Adrian. Thank you guys. Linda Shepherd's here. Hi, Linda, Dawn, Karen. We got a whole load of people in the chat today. So we're excited because you get to give away a book today.
I'm going to give away a couple of my books. I'm going to give away number 1, Valuing Gold, and number 2, Pursuing Gold. If someone wants to, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, we're going to have a wheel of names. Rebecca's going to come back on here at the end and put everybody who's attended the chat. So if you say hi, we don't know that you're not going to be enrolled in the drawing until you say hi, and we will get you in there, and then you will be on the Wheel of Names to get some of these amazing books that Cynthia's made, novels where she weaves history and biblical truth. And Cynthia, tell me a little bit about, we talked about your love for history, but tell us a little bit about the novel stories that you've written and the common thread that's through them.
Well, the ones that are out there now, I've got one coming up in the spring, but the ones that are out now is a little bit of the history of money and how money changed from coin to paper, particularly during the Civil War. It weaves that in there with the values of truth, because obviously you want to value gold, because if you value paper, it's not worth anything. And that's one of the reasons they wanted to handle the coins, because the coins were gold and silver and they were actually worth something, whereas the paper may or may not be, depending on if that bank had anything to back it up. So you can understand that.
So what do you think about the not using the penny anymore? The penny is going to be a high commodity.
Be interesting, because they're going to have to round everything up to the nickel.
Yeah, and that really changes things.
I'm noticing that more people are using cards these days, and they're not wanting, like if they buy a book, they're not wanting the change back. So maybe they don't value the change like they used to.
Ooh, that's true. We used to, as kids, we always had a change jar where we put all our pennies, we put all our coins, and at a certain time, maybe even every 3 years, we put it in this big jar. Did you guys have a big jar that you would put all your?
I have a bank that I do, and every now and then I take everything out and take it to the bank. Roll it up and take it to the bank. So yeah, we do that.
Yeah, and a lot of people collected coins, and I don't know if they're still collecting coins. People out there still collecting coins.
I think people are, yeah.
So it's interesting though. It has that history in it, because I love to find coins with very old dates. I always look through of that and try to find the oldest coins and stuff. But we don't have a personal coin collection. I think I'm going to start collecting pennies, since they are going to be out.
That's right.
I think they're going to be a collectible item pretty soon. And then we'll be able to pass those down to our kids and say, this is what we used to use to pay that 0.9 cent thing in our petrol. I was like, please don't raise that to 5 cents.
Be like another tax.
I know, right? But so exciting. And I know that we're probably winding down, so you guys get in the chat. Make sure you're saying hi so we can get some of these, because we want you on the drawing for Cynthia to give away her book. And Cynthia is one of our leading hearts contributors. She's been with us for a very, very long time, and she has. And right now, you have a column now that you're incorporating women in history to our magazine, and it's been such a rich and flavorful transition, because learning about all these women is it just really undergirds your faith and really makes you respect those people, those women who came before us. Can you just share just a little bit about what doing this, passing down this kind of history, how that impacts you, and where you see that connection really, really happening, and why you think that should be important for us to be teaching and passing down to our kids today?
The problems that we face are very similar to the problems that everybody else faced in the past. I mean, there's really not any new problems. I mean, we may have new technology that creates problems, but there's not any new problems. And so we can see how these people in the past coped, and it can help us to learn something. And plus, I think, if we see the mistakes people made, we probably won't make them again. Because when you think about Jesus and the Bible, he talked about remembering what he has done, remember his works, remember how he did this, and talk about it. Tell your children, share with them so that they know the past. Because if you're connected to the past, I think you're just a wiser person.
Yeah, it is true. And we need to know the past. I know that it is something we learn lessons from those who've come before us, and
Absolutely.
that's an important thing, because their mistakes happen for a reason, and we have to be able to learn from them and move forward into healthier states of mind. And it's interesting to me to reconnect with the older way of doing things, the way that they used to do things, because it does make you feel that we are so privileged to not have to, hunt down our food, or, we can do that. What is something that you know how to do that's pretty old timey that might surprise people that you know how to do it?
You know, I make all my cakes from scratch and all my cookies from scratch. My
Oh,
mother did that and taught me to do it. And so I do it. And my grandmother taught me how to do tatting. And I don't think anybody does that anymore. Tatting.
tanning.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Okay. Next Bleeding Hearts Live, Cynthia needs to come back and do a tanning. A tanning tutorial for our Bleeding Hearts Live, so we can all get that knowledge and move forward from there. But Rebecca, you're back.
I pop back in. I know it's getting towards that time where you have to head on to see your daughter, I believe is what you normally have to do.
Exactly. So we're
yeah, my grandmother tatted, and Sandy Banks is saying her grandma tatted too. She also mentioned that she remembered when silver dollars went out of use. As you mentioned coins going out of use, silver dollars went, they lived in Las Vegas. They had lots of silver dollars, and they would trade them in all the time because they were so heavy to carry around. And then, they went out of use.
But if you have any dollar bill or any money from the past in your life, you can still spend that. When I went to England one time, I had been there before, and I brought some what do you call it, pounds from the past.
Yeah.
And I handed them over to the cashier. She said, "Oh, that's expired." And I went, "What?" And she said,
Yes.
"You have to go to the bank and get another one." And I went, just kind of.
Yes.
But we are so good at the way we do our money that it's got a lot of protections in it. And England is not as good, and their money will expire.
Yeah, well, and that was funny because, yes, I remember changing a lot of bills over there, a lot of sterling to the new system of sterling.
They don't want the old stuff. They want the new stuff.
They want the new stuff, and it has like this little plastic kind of coating. It feels so different than it probably is weatherproof, which is probably good for me because I wash a lot of money.
Now you do say now, Amber, you are saying that you wash it in the washer, not that you're laundering any of it.
Laundering money.
I wash a lot of money, and it just doesn't survive the tumble dryer like a plastic.
But yes, I did come back on because we've been on for a while. I've learned so much just listening to this, and it has been such a joy. But it is time for us to spin for a winner for one of Cynthia's books or Cynthia's book package. So I am going to
say my name. Say my name. Only one in here. Nala.
Oh,
Nala,
I don't know.
Nala. Oh,
yeah.
She's coming back in. So we made to make sure that everybody's in the drawing that is here. Sandy. Oh, good. Thank you guys for tatting. Oh, I was calling it tanning the whole time. I thought you tanned leather. I have
tanning is different than tatting.
I don't think. My skin just burns. I don't think.
I thought you wrangled some buffaloes. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I have to look up tatting.
So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to see who wins. Cherie Denna.
Yay, Cherie.
And Cherie has been with us for most of our time today.
Yay. And do we have another winner?
I'm going to give away 2 books.
Okay. I will share my screen. I will add that back to the stage, and we will spin one more time. Yeah, Suzanne caught us late. Okay, we got Adrienne Chavez. Now, Adrienne is one of our people that's watching on on YouTube. And so we need Adrienne to actually message us on our YouTube channel in order for us to get the address for that. Otherwise, we will not be able to send anything to Adrienne.
Oh, well, guys, thank you so much. We've had so many views on this podcast, and it's been so exciting, Cynthia, talking to you. And we want to make sure leadinghearts.com, you guys get over there. You will see so many amazing history articles from Cynthia, as well as our other ladies that are regular contributors. So excited. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for being with us today. And tell people where they can connect with you and connect with your books and everything that you have.
I am Cynthia L. Simmons, and you can find me anywhere, CynthiaLSimmons.com, Cynthia L. Simmons Ministry. I have a YouTube channel now called History Chats with Cynthia, and I'll be on this week again with one of my chats. So you can listen to me, but there's also on my website. So everything, and there's a quiz on my website. If you can want to know which First Lady you're the most like, you can take a quiz. So have lots of
I love quizzes. I'm going to have to go there right now after the podcast closes to take that quiz. Well, thank you guys. We hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving and lots of turkey and take lots of naps. And make sure Cynthia L. Simmons, she had to put the L in.
I have to put the L in. I was named after my dad, who was CL, no name. So because of that, I use the L in my name in his memory. So
yes, so make sure you do that. Make sure you go to Leading Hearts Live. Leading Hearts. Make sure you go to Leading Hearts, leadinghearts.com. Get the new issue. We have some exciting things coming up. And you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys.
bye.
Bye.
Now, can I put